Breaking news reaching us now, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, has been arrested. Extradited to Nigeria and is right now being arraigned at the Federal High Court in Abuja. Kanu is facing charges bordering on treasonable felony instituted against him at the Federal High Court.
It was an unjust war. Long ago, in the heart of Biafra, a nation was born from the ashes of war. A war that scarred the land and its people, yet it never killed the spirit of freedom.
The war aim of Biafra is purely to prevent ourselves being slaughtered, nothing more.
It was in this land, scarred by conflict, that Nnamdi Kanu was born, a son destined to revive the dream of independence for Biafra.
And if anybody is going to judge our success and failure in this war, it will have to depend on how much we have prevented the enemy from killing us.
Raised with the echoes of his ancestors' struggles, Kanu understood that the wounds of war ran deep in the hearts of his people. The scars from the Biafran War, which ravaged the land and cost countless lives, had never healed. The dream of an independent Biafra, broken but not forgotten, lived on in the hearts of those who survived. It was these voices, these memories, that called him to action. As Nnamdi Kanu grew, so did his voice. He became a preacher of justice, a messenger for those who were unheard. He spoke not just for his generation, but for all those whose lives were shattered by the war. The pain of the past was alive within him, and his words resonated with the cries of the oppressed. But as Kanu's message spread, so did the fear of the establishment. His calls for self-determination grew louder, shaking the very foundations of the government. They feared the revival of a Biafran spirit, one that could awaken the wounds of the past and ignite a new conflict. And so, they moved against him. Nnamdi Kanu was arrested, his body captured, but his spirit unbroken. The authorities believed that imprisoning him would extinguish the fire he had started. But they failed to understand the depths of his cause. The pain of the war, the bloodshed of the past, was not something easily forgotten. It was a flame that could never be fully extinguished. His arrest became a symbol of the struggle that began in the blood-soaked fields of the Biafran War. The demand for freedom was still alive. The fight for justice continued, not just for Nnamdi Kanu, but for all the lives lost, for all the children born into a world of scars. The fight for Biafra is not just his fight. It is the fight of all those who have ever dreamed of a free land. And though the past may haunt the present, the future is still unwritten. As long as the story of Nnamdi Kanu is told, as long as the voices of his people rise, the dream of Biafra lives on. Arrested again, 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 and yet again.
I agitate for Biafra. I agitate for Biafra. My right to agitate. My right. They got it from this felony. Now with you terrorism.
This is Nnamdi Kanu speaking. Biafra land, listen. They thought they could silence me, but they didn't just cage me. They caged your spirit. They made you forget that our land still bleeds, that our people still suffer, that nothing has changed. 5 years in chains. But what about you? Are you not free? Or have they bound your voice with fear? The struggle was never about me, it was about you, your children, your land, your future. So I ask you, where is the fire that once burned in your heart? Where is the voice that once roared for freedom? Wake up! Rise again. Speak. Act. Remember who you are. This is Nnamdi Kanu.
Welcome, 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 welcome. Thank you for joining. Like and share the program to all platforms. Share to family and friends. Share to everyone that is close to you. Share to everyone that you know. Invite them to join us on this very evening section as we present the program. We must continue to speak. We must continue to advocate. We must continue to do the needful at all times. So wherever you are watching from, I welcome you. Like and share. Remember, our duty is to call on all Biafrans across the world, wherever you are, to stand up and do the needful. This is not the time for blames. This is not the time for attack. It is the time for unity of purpose. Unity of purpose is very important, and we cannot overemphasize on that. So wherever you are and you are watching this program, I urge you in the name of Chukwu Kabiama to pay attention and do what you have to do. As Nigeria is on the edge, we know that the zoo is ending. That is why they are running helter-skelter. They are running from pillar to pole. Nigeria is on edge. Is a takeover imminent? Yes, the takeover of the zoo is imminent. What Biafrans must do. As Nigeria is coming to an end, as it is clear that Nigeria is coming to an end, the Biafran must be very careful. Every one of us must be very careful, and we must know what we have to do. This is not the time to talk carelessly. It's not the time to mislead people. It is the time for us to focus on those things that matters. One of the most important things today is remembering that we are fighting for self-determination, and it is our right. And in this struggle, it has a face. The face of the struggle is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the supreme leader, and Mazi Simon Ekpa, the prime minister. These are people who are tested and trusted. They laid a very solid foundation. They never fought against each other. They never blackmailed anybody. They had an open arm to receive everybody, including their enemy. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was receiving everybody. In fact, one of the major work Mazi Nnamdi Kanu did was reconciliation of the all Igbo people, reconciliation of all Biafrans, wherever you are, in the old southeastern region, everybody in that old southern region. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu did that reconciliation with all the attack, all the hatred he continued. He didn't stop there. He also extended her to Yoruba land. He extended his hand to Middle Belt. And he extended to the north. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was not selfish with this struggle. He was open and he knows what he wanted. Mazi Simon Ekpa also gave the olive branch. He was ready to reconcile with everybody. Mazi Simon Ekpa always gave the olive branch. You see, when we are planning to go to Finland, he told everybody to come. He never sidelined anybody. He was always ready and open. And that is the spirit of Biafra. Wherever you are today, you must key into that spirit of Biafra. Unity of purpose, wherever you are, whichever group you belong, whatever title you have, whatever opinion you have, the aim of your speech must be Biafra. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, even in detention, call for unity. Mazi Simon Ekpa, the same thing. These are the pronounced legitimate leaders that we know that have earned the respect of the Biafran people. They earn it. Nobody forced it. They earn it. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu earned the respect of Biafra. Mazi Simon Ekpa earned the respect also. In as much as many people misunderstood Mazi Simon Ekpa because of heavy blackmail and propaganda that comes from even people he was fighting for. But we must continue. We must not give up. The battle is ours. This is our fight. We will fight as much as we can to be able to get out of this zone. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is in detention, suffering for you and I. Mazi Simon Ekpa, the same thing, suffering. We must not keep silent. Nigeria has ended. Nigeria is over. If you don't know before, please know now. The zoological republic called Nigeria is over, and there is no remedy. If anybody tells you that they have a remedy, it is a lie. The world knows that Nigeria has ended. The only thing holding us now is speaking in one voice, unity of purpose. That is why Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is calling everybody together. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has established a committee of 100 men, and we are waiting for those committee of 100 men to be announced, and we continue from there. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have taken responsibility and charge of the struggle. Wherever you are, we must not forget that we have people who laid the foundation. And our Prime Minister Mazi Simon Ekpa must also be supported. Wherever you are, the lawyers that are standing for Mazi Simon Ekpa must be supported. Any place you are, whoever you are, as long as you are a follower of Mazi Simon Ekpa, a follower of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, you must support the legal affair of Mazi Simon Ekpa so that he can be able to come out, because we believe he will come out. It is a shame that Mazi Simon Ekpa, our Prime Minister, do not have international lawyer and have to beg. He has to beg us to get a lawyer for him. Is that not a shame? If you are a Biafran, under Mazi Simon Ekpa. You should be ashamed. Be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself that your leader doesn't have a representative. Mazi Nnamdi can have more than enough, even many on pro bono. But you know, Mazi Nnamdi is in Nigeria. Mazi Simon Ekpa is not in Nigeria. It's a different case. So in the case of Mazi Simon Ekpa, it is in our hand to raise fund and get lawyer for him. So the fundraising for Mazi Simon Ekpa lawyer it's a must for every well-meaning Biafra. Support it. Support that fundraising. Fundraising specifically for Mazi Simon Ekpa lawyer. Only for his lawyer. That is the fundraising you are supposed to be focusing on now. So that before August 5th, when he will go for appeal, his international lawyers will be ready. His international lawyers will be ready. He needs your assistant. While he was here, he fought all of us. He took risk for all of us. Why wouldn't you take a chance and take a risk for him? Why? Why can't you take a risk for him? Somebody that risked himself for you. Why wouldn't you do the same for him? Is it too much to ask? It is sad, but we must continue. So, my brothers and sisters, it is important to know that the responsibility we have today is to prepare ourselves for our nation. Nigeria is gone and gone for good. Nigeria is irredeemable and will never ever be redeemed, no matter what anybody says. It has gone. All this trouble running from here to there, traveling from here to here, planning. He has gone to the British where they planned the kidnapping of Mazi Nnamdi, and they will always fail. They want to destroy the sympathy that the Biafrans have across the world, but they cannot. No matter how they try, they will never succeed. And I bet you we shall overcome them. So this evening, we are going to go directly into some of the updates that we have and some videos we're going to play, and then we'll call it a night. We have fulfilled our mission for today. So we're going to start from this very video so that we can be able to show what transpired, how they are blackmailing the IPOB, and as they continue to blackmail us, they continue to fail. Just when they think that it got out, they fail.
IPOB pay you? Are they paying you to do this? Because that's the
Listen.
I'm separating it from the issue of the Biafran separation. That's not my interest in talking about this whatsoever. But it is an indictment of the tyrannical lawlessness of this administration. Here's the facts. First of all, even Nigerian courts said that branding of IPOB as a terrorist group is bogus. It was never in a due process. It was just a proclamation. And there's no evidence to support the United States doesn't accept that. I would believe any country outside of the cadre in Abuja actually believe that it's a terrorist group. They did that.
No other country has prescribed IPOB.
No. And so it's, first of all, it's clearly an effort to silence them. Second, Nnamdi Kanu carries a British passport as well. He's a British citizen who else a Nigerian citizen. He was broadcasting from London. He never once been challenged in court over and over again. There was never once any act of violence that is traced to any word that he spoke. Not once. There's not one act of violence they can say came about as what he said. He spoke on board sword. And then he went to Kenya. Does not have an extradition treaty with Nigeria. He was abducted, tortured, and illegally rendered to Nigeria. The Kenyan government said it was illegal, and they protested. The international community has protested. So, they come up with a bogus label of terrorists that nobody agrees with. They grab them for saying words on foreign soil that were not traced to any violence, and then they illegally render him back. They put him on trial under a law that had been repealed. His attorney kept saying, "Your Honor, what is the law? Show me the law. What are you being prosecuting for?" It does not exist. There is no law under which he was prosecuted. The old law, there was no continuation clause. There was zero legal basis for his prosecution. And then he was found guilty of what? The
violating what? Simply offending the government is what he
No, they said most of the things he said ignited violence and led to the death of
never proved it.
security agencies and individuals and
But
absence.
that is called tyranny. When you can grab somebody out of another land and you can condemn them for words they said that you don't agree with, even though they're not against the law, and you can sentence that person to life in prison and transfer them to Sokoto, 700 miles from the people that were feeding them, taking care of them, 700 miles from the appeals court. Sokoto is throwing him in a dungeon. They grabbed the guy because they didn't like his words, with no law, with no legal basis. They illegally grabbed him, a foreign citizen on foreign soil, and they throw him in a dungeon in Sokoto. That's tyranny. I don't care what tribe he's in. I don't care what he's advocating. That's tyranny. That's evil. And it's an indictment of this government. The fact that he's still in prison illegally is tyranny. That is tyranny. There is no legal justification for it. They never made the case. They never showed what law they were prosecuting. The government didn't like him, and they threw him in a dungeon, just like they did with the Israeli filmmaker.
Well, why do you think the government may not have liked him? Because many would say, some people who believe in him call him the prophet of their time, because most of the things he warned about the massacre of the people of Nigeria are today, the reality of most of these indigenous Nigerians. But so many would say that, is there anything he actually did speak about that hasn't come, true? So what exactly is his crime? But why do you think the Nigerian government did not like him enough to ensure that he was truly persecuted?
Well, I'll talk about it in terms of disease. There's no such thing as darkness. It doesn't exist. It's the absence of light. They operate in darkness. They're evil people operating in darkness. And he was shining the light. He was speaking the truth, but they say he was just teaching history. He was just pointing out the obvious about the Constitution, about the founding of Nigeria, about the whole British machinery that they put in motion. That's what he was doing. And that's a threat to the powers that be, because it's the truth. And they can't stand the truth. They can't live in the light because they are children of.
You have heard it. So it is not only us confirming the genuinity of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. You can see this was somebody that they went to bring to Nigeria to come and castigate the Christians, the Biafrans. Reno Omokri was the one that brought this guy. Reno Omokri paid him, brought him to make a propaganda, and it backfired. Today, he is the one of the most outspoken issue on the Christian genocide and calling the world, telling the truth. And by the way, he investigated Nigeria for many years. And Reno Omokri didn't know. He brought him and he exposed them. He exposed them in black and white. Look at him testifying about the genuinity of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Testifying about the genuinity of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. But some idiots are running this garden, telling lies, deceiving themselves, thinking that they're deceiving me. You are deceiving yourself, not us. You are deceiving yourself, and you continue to deceive yourself and continue to fail. So let us hear what Sowore has to say. Sowore has a message also. Let's hear what Sowore had to say on the interview on the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and Sunday Igboho. Let's hear what he had to say.
Nnamdi Kanu is in jail today because it's different from Sunday Igboho. If Nnamdi Kanu were to be Sunday Igboho, he would be campaigning for Tinubu in the southeast now, because it's the same terms that he gave to Sunday Igboho that he accepted that Nnamdi Kanu has rejected over the last 10 years. So please don't insult him. I don't know what he will do tomorrow, but the Nnamdi Kanu that I went to campaign for in Aba last week is not somebody. She will be, I don't even know what to call it, if it's a heresy to compare the two of them. As for Sunday Igboho, who I don't know too well, but I've always stated that their own brand of politics is what they call Amala politics in your states. It is politics of chop and chop. It is what they used to call during in the Southeast or rub my back, I rub your back. So, but what Sunday Igboho is going to quickly realize is that it's going to be in the hall of infamy, like the Zeribes of this world, who once said that if Babangida did not become president, he will kill himself. Yes. Right? Both him and Babangida have become invalid. It's like Daniel Kanu, who said if Abacha did not become president, he will kill himself. Abacha has died. His own political career died forever. It's like Baba Adedibu in Ibadan, who says that Obasanjo, if he doesn't do third time, he will kill himself. He has also died. So these are ideas that will not last. And I have no doubt that Sunday Igboho has just automatically, if he was ever relevant, just retired himself into the infamy of the people I mentioned. And his own might be worse, because the whole community might be cooking for him very soon. I will go to anywhere in Nigeria to campaign, and I want to see him come and stop me. And I'm sure he will never try. So some of it is also psychological. They're just using them to scare you so that you won't stand up. Because they know if Tinubu is truly supported by 33 governors, why is he afraid of? Why is he afraid of rallies? Yeah, that tells you that it is the governors that are the campaign, the people are not the campaign. So he provided remains, bones of people they claim were these engineers. And when they did the DNA test, they found out that they were not the people who died. So what I'm glad happened with this particular man called Umahi is that his admittance that he's the most powerful person, a powerful minister under Tinubu, allowed his other victims to come out. And that is why we always warn people. You can commit crimes and get away with it at some point, yes. But you will never get away at all times. Yes. Now his crimes are catching up with him. Apart from the 5 mainland engineers that are missing under his watch, there's also a family that has been in jail since 2025 that he ordered to be sent to prison in Bonny. Don't forget that this same woman constructed one of the most expensive airports where even a drone doesn't land today in Ebonyi. So his crimes are catching up with him and he must answer for them. We are not asking that he should be fired alone. Umahi must be arrested and investigated, tried, and appropriately dealt with. So I'm sure more information will come out. You see, you can't just say that people disappeared because there's communal clash. Ebonyi is not the only place where there are communal clashes in Nigeria, where people disappear. We'll still find out what happened to them. So it has been established now that he has a hand in it, and that there's a prima facie case that he has information about their disappearance. For us to have independent, proper, and transparent investigation, he has to step aside so that he will not interfere with the investigation in a serious country. I mean, if he fails, he will step aside with people who are protecting him when the time comes. All of them will be forced to step aside. Nigerians are not joking anymore. As you guys are aware, I spent last week in Aba, in Abia State, and I've never seen how determined people are, and you can say whatever you want to say. It wasn't an IPOB event, there was not even an IPOB flag. It was just the Nigerian people asking for a revolution in Aba, in Ariara Market, and in front of soldiers, soldiers in their like numbers came, but they resisted them, and we had a great outing there. That's telling you that they're sending a message to the, they always tell you that some parts of the country based on ethnicity don't want Nigeria to be better, or because of religion they don't want the Nigeria that we call for. We are getting to find out, not for the first time, that there's unity of the oppressed. Yes. And we'll take it through to flush these guys out of our system. The killers, the corrupt people, and the dangerous politicians, Nigeria's future, will be a future to ransom. Yes.
How will you describe the actions of the
I didn't know that there were mansions until I saw the videos yesterday. He called them duplexes so that he can fool people. But this is what I will say to you. Nigerians should get to a point, and listen to this, that if you are brought before a judge that collected house from Wike, just tell the judge to recuse himself. Very well. There's no judge who's going to take that mansion who can ever do justice in Nigeria. It's not possible. No judge. And this is not the first time judges are challenged when they are ethically compromised. Ganifa Emi challenged Supreme Court justices who collected Mercedes-Benz from Babangida during Abiola's time. And they couldn't see it. And those Mercedes-Benz have now become extinct. the judges have died. Yes. But Gani's name and his position at that time remains forever. Any judge, even if this is a judge that's handling my case, if I hear that one of the judges that got the house, I'll tell him to recuse himself. There's no way I can get justice from a judge who is living in that mansion. In fact, the moment you get that house, you will not be living in Nigeria anymore. You will not take Nigeria, you won't behave Nigeria, you won't see Nigeria. Those are mansions that are meant for corruption. And those places should be reallocated immediately to doctors. Yes. Because doctors will save more lives. And I'm sure some of the doctors are willing to even share the apartment. So one of them can take like 10 doctors. Especially all these resident doctors, young, vibrant, and savvy. They are willing to just find a mattress to sleep. Why is Wike not building houses for teachers? Yes. Why are they not building houses for even all these policemen that are killing people on their behalf? You know. And I heard that after giving houses to judges, the registrars and the court workers are complaining. I came and gave them land. Yes. So that they can corrupt them. Because those ones are saying we are the ones who help the judges carry out corruption. So also settle us. This is what I heard happened to some of the staff here. So it's not only in Katsina and Plateau. The most amount of killings that are happening in Borno State, where battalions of soldiers have been wiped out. As we speak, Maiduguri is within the sight of Boko Haram. But I have said it here before, that it's just a matter of time. If we continue with these incompetent leaders and army generals and the defense minister, the guy who wanted to construct fence, yes, it's a matter of time before the whole country is overrun. Even the Abuja where you are surrounded. But I know all of us are in denial. Terrorists are also attacking the neighborhood in Abuja on a regular basis. They are attacking Kogi. The biggest terrorist camp in this area is based in Obanjana. The second one is based in Suleja. There are terrorist camps very close to the law school. Yes. That is overlooking the law school. There's a mountain there. We do the research. So those of you who are still in denial that it's Kogi or Borno, it's a matter of time. Except we change the players. The game can never change. Nobody's safe in this country. Not only that, in Ondo State, bandits, which is another alias name for terrorists, were found very close to the airport, close to maybe taking down an aircraft. They were arrested yesterday by the combined team of security agents at Akure Airport. That place is also surrounded. So what do I tell you? Everywhere is already under siege. So you better do something about it before it gets too late.
You've heard it. These are reports of the situation. These are the condition of Nigeria. When we say it, some people will be like, it's not, oh, we are saying it on social media. Think of Showore. He's there in Nigeria and he's telling them to their face what they are doing. He's there in Nigeria exposing their evil. Hate him, like him, he is doing what he has to do. And this zoological republic, they will never know peace. A failed state, a completely failed state. Failed state. They want to savage. What are you going to savage in Nigeria? Even for Sobolu that is speaking, he's also working to savage Nigeria. But kudos to him. He has chosen his own path, how he's going to do it. He has chosen his own path of revolution. And we have chosen our own path of disintegration. And that is where we are. Let them continue to deceive themselves. But for us, we have made our choice. And there is no going back. There is no going back. No matter what they say, no matter what they do, we will never, ever back down. We will never back down. The more they try to stop us, the more we fight harder. The more they try to blackmail us, the more we'll fight harder. And at the end of the day, they will realize that Nigeria is not for anybody. Nigeria is not for anybody. That zoo is not meant for anybody. We must continue to do our best at all times and expose the evil. So let's go to their media and see what they have on their media. Whatever news they have on their media, we are going to bring it for you to see, as we always do. We will say it the way it is, without missing word. And as we speak, we are going to go some updates that they have in their media of what is going on. We will bring it so that you will see. We have to show it because for you to be able to debunk their lies, you must listen and watch what they are doing. If you're not watching what they are doing, you will not know that they are committing their crimes every day. You will not understand. So for you to get it right,
around the world.
you must listen to them.
Good morning, Annie.
Don't listen.
Years with
You
the
will not
goal
know.
of strength.
You must listen to them. If you don't listen, you will not understand. That is why it's important that we listen, follow all what they are doing at the end of the day, so that we can be able to push out the information the way it is without missing words. We will never allow them to confuse us. So let us listen and hear what they have in their media today. As they say, their zoological republic president was going to UK or whatever. Let's find out what transpired from their media, the updates they have about the idiotic movement of the Janjaweed president they have. Let's hear what they have to say in their media.
Us. We begin what's trending with some breaking news video we're getting right as we were coming on air of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the First Lady Oluremi Tinubu arriving at the airport in Abuja. Both of them on their way to the UK for that historic UK state visit. We see them there in the video that we just got. This is Nigeria's first in 37 years with the goal of strengthening both countries' ties on all fronts, from immigration to trade, investment, culture. The President and the First Lady are expected to land this afternoon, with the President's Special Advisor, Bayo Onanuga, releasing a statement Monday regarding some of the trip's highlights. One, the King and the President will hold private discussions regarding interfaith dialogue. Two, President Tinubu will witness the signing of a £746 million deal between the UK and Nigeria's ports to revamp the Lagos port in Apapa and Tenkan Island. And three, of course, there will be a state banquet. Now, Nigeria and the UK are inextricably linked, and this state visit happening at this moment is significant for the president, for his administration, and for its legacy. What's also notable in all of this are the members of the administration that the president selected to go with him on this trip. You have Senate President Godswill Akpabio, Minister of Solid Minerals Dele Alake, Minister of Finance Wale Edu. I mean, the list goes on, and you're seeing some of the people who will be on this trip with him. I think even the governor of Zamfara State was invited on this trip. And Dr. Abati, I'll start with you, because it's interesting to see this critical mass, and it's almost a game or a question of who's in and who's out.
Taking point of freedom.
Exactly, and who's here? Who didn't make the cut?
Anyway, we are saying all the things about how this is important at the level of the historical connection between Nigeria and the United Kingdom. The Britain, having been our former colonial, I don't want to use the word master, but who used to be a colony of the United of Britain. Now, also at the level of symbolism, in terms of the timing and all of that, it's good to see both countries maintaining this historical ties, and then that this is not just about ceremony, it's also about bilateral relations in the areas of immigration, security, education, health. Nigeria has been a major beneficiary of the DFID, programs, over the years and other initiatives, cultural exchanges, and all that. And then, of course, we have the huge population of Nigerians in the United Kingdom. I think Nigerian students are the ones who, more than any other persons from anywhere else in the world, who help to sustain the international education system in the United Kingdom. Many Nigerians would naturally want to send their children to the United Kingdom. So there is this strong, relationship, not to even talk of the fact that Nigerian culture is also well entrenched in the UK. We were talking off camera about how there's no Nigerian food that you cannot get in the UK. Nigerian restaurants, Nigerian festivals. I think we even have Nigerian Day, when Nigerians come out and celebrate. So there's that strong connection. And this we just further promoted. And it probably also explains, as Professor Osai, the Director General of the NIA, was saying, the large number of delegates going with President Bola Tinubu, because I counted that list you were reading, about 10 ministers, about 2 major security chiefs of 3 or so, all of them going to the UK. And of course, all these persons will also go with their own assistants.
Right.
And the assistants will go with their own assistants. So but we hope that this will not be a jamboree. It will not be a shocking opportunity for members of the delegation, that there will be concrete outcomes, in the various areas that they have identified.
Yes.
There is the MOU that will be signed, for example, the agreement in relation to the ports in Lagos, Apapa Port, Tinkan Port. But we have also said the focus should not just be the ports in Lagos. Nigeria needs to develop its ports infrastructure, to the extent that the focus will not be on Lagos. There was some controversy at the time when the government was talking about, developing other ports in Nigeria. So all of that will look very good. And at a personal level, I made a point about personal diplomacy. That is also some kind of personal achievement that Nigeria administration is being recognized at this time, when the opposition at home is so critical.
Right.
But beyond the trip to Windsor Castle and all the other, meetings with Kestama and all of that, a delegation even went before the president. We were discussing yesterday the Minister of Foreign Affairs, who spoke at the Chatham House. And even before then, there was a Commonwealth reception, and there was a delegation also from Nigeria. I don't know whether those ones that went for Commonwealth, whether they have returned. Maybe they are staying back. Maybe they are staying back to be part of this, reception for the president. But whatever it is, we should be more interested in concrete outcomes, not MOUs that they will sign and they will put in the wardrobe in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and it will gather dust. Then another president will come in the future, and then that president too will go to UK. They will sign another MOU. Then when our children become governors in the various states, they will invite Nigerians again. They will sign another MOU. All these agreements, all these MOUs we sign just gather dust. We're looking for action. Follow us. Follow truth.
Absolutely. Tangible outcomes is the name of the game here. But now let's head to Maiduguri, because online a lot of people were talking about the tragedy, where a lot of people woke up across the state this morning in fear after several suspected suicide bomb blasts on Monday evening killed 23 people and wounded 146. Now, in a statement out overnight, the Borno Public Relations Officer Nahum Kenneth Dasso confirmed the latest numbers, with videos emerging online showing the aftermath of some of the explosions at the entrance of the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital and 2 local markets known as Post Office and Monday Market. And what we're seeing on social media is honestly just devastating. The panic of innocent citizens, health workers carrying bodies to hospitals, and this overarching fear that their community just isn't safe. Let's watch. But as videos emerge laying out the fear and the panic, videos also emerge almost simultaneously of the security response. According to police, after the explosions, a team of tactical units and military moved in quickly to the affected areas. They conducted sweep operations, and we have video of those sweep operations. We should pull those up for you shortly. Tanks were seen moving through the community, and meanwhile, the Borno State Governor, Babagana Zulum, condemned the explosion in a statement, saying that the recent surge in attacks is not unconnected to recent military operations against the insurgents. And I'll pull up a tweet now from someone on X, whose name was Void, who wrote, 23 Nigerians went to Monday market, walked past a hospital gate and crossed a flyover on an ordinary Monday evening in Maiduguri. They didn't survive. Maiduguri has buried its dead, rebuilt its markets, and sent its children to school through 16 consecutive years of attacks that no other Nigerian city has been asked to absorb for this long. The resilience of the city is one of the most underdocumented stories in modern Nigeria. The failure to match that resilience with consistent security is one of the most overdocumented ones. Rest in peace to every soul lost tonight. And Rufai, I'll come to you on this story because that last tweet kind of just laid out the amount of just crisis that the state has endured. People still live there, but where do they go from here?
The question we should ask the state, and not only this government, but successive government, is 16, 17 years down the line, since Mohammed Yusuf's case, what they said was the start of Boko Haram, why have we not been able to solve the problem of insecurity? Why is it that 16 years afterwards, it has gained traction, it has gained momentum, it has not abated? If you cast your mind back, these were the things the APC said Jonathan was incompetent for. They called him names. In fact, they said Buhari, being a general, will flush out insecurity in no time. They converted February to February. Yes. They said February is February, love Buhari. Buhari was a hero of some sorts in this country. APC was the messiah of some sorts that was coming to deliver us from incompetence. But when you check the records today, it looks as though Jonathan did a good job. Can we even see they have been able to match the extent Jonathan did? If you go and check Vice's website, there's a documentary Vice did on Strike Force 82, the embedded team with the mercenaries. How they were able to clear parts of Borno before the elections in 2015. Today, we're seeing killings. Yes, the APC will argue that there were so many places that Boko Haram has raised its flags, but when they came, they cleared it out. When is this going to stop? We've talked about complicity. We've talked about war. Till today, we don't know the fate of the people in war. Will the government pay ransom as alleged by some foreign newspaper again? What will happen to those people? And it's not only Borno now, it's spread every part of the country. And Americans are just doing. So the question is, as the president goes on the stages anyway, I've said it many times, that if a thing like this happens, the president should be on ground. Should be monarch chief.
And to your point, I think, Io, before you were mentioning that the president put out a statement on...
he did. You see, isn't it shocking that putting out a statement like that become a badge of honor of incompetence? Because we keep putting out statements, does it solve the problem? Io, I've not seen the statement, but I can predict that the statement will go after the perpetrators of this act.
Yeah.
Did you write it there?
He did say that they were going to go against terrorism, but he first of all identified with the people, talked about the tragedy of
the perpetrators.
Yes.
Can I ask you,
They'll be brought to justice. Because government is on top of the situation.
And then he highlighted the fact that he sent his security chiefs to Ogiguri.
Can we go back to all the statements that have been written and look for those three faces? Government is on top, will bring them to justice. Do they ever get to justice? We are seeing the DSS, yes, they say they are trying some people in court. But the people that did the Woro one, did they ever see justice? The people that did the KB one, have they seen justice? So because we bring one or two of them, does it mean they ever get to justice? Those that are collecting ransom, that some foreign media are claiming that the government paid ransom to, do they ever get justice? So we will see that trajectory. In fact, it's become a reflection of our incompetence every time we write those statements. We'll send the service chiefs, yes. Security chief. It's the security chief who voted for on the ballot. He's the one that promised to give Nigeria security. Send the vice president. He's the vice president we voted for on the ballot. He's the one that promised. He's the one that come out for mandates. So then very soon now, next year, January, before now, they will start campaigning, asking for mandate. They will still tell you they will end insecurity. They will bring us and say they've killed this number of bandits and terrorists, but the insecurity improves. So as at that time when he's campaigning, it's the vice president that we are voting for.
Can I just say so very quickly that this issue of insecurity, every time there's an election cycle coming up, it is one of the main or key campaign promises made by candidates. And unfortunately, in the last over a decade that this menace has continued, particularly in the Northeast, we haven't seen an appreciable solution to this challenge. And we've heard a lot of things that people have said. It almost seems as if there's an understanding of the problem, there's an understanding of what must be done to end the problem, but there's no will to do it. We've talked about the fact that we know where these people are, we know who the funders are, we will get them, we know how they're operating. So what is where do we bridge the gap? Right. Where do we bridge that gap? Because it's very...
If there's will,
if
there's political will, to remove certificate forgery from the electoral law as a way to challenge the election after you had a case in the Supreme Court in the last election. If there's way to remove certificate forgery and there's no way to end insecurity, then we are jokers in this
for fairness, let me just state some of the highlights of the president's, because I think it's important. Earlier I said that we hadn't seen a response. He posted around 10, 11 a.m. on his X account, signed personally by him, not from a spokesperson. He sympathized with them. He said that these acts of terror are final, desperate and frantic attempts by criminals and terrorist elements trying to instill and spread fear. He ended that statement with saying that we will not, or Nigeria will not succumb to fear. He added some of the efforts he had made, that last weekend he had a security meeting. We talked about that security meeting here with leaders of security. He's approved additional equipment and operational support and capabilities, service chiefs to go to Maiduguri to take charge of the situation. Again, these are not new things.
Right,
we haven't seen years. But so the thing is that Nigerians have heard enough. I'm particularly sad because earlier I mentioned that Maiduguri had experienced relative peace in recent times. At some point, that Monday market was a target for suicide bombing, terrorist attacks, because it's a key hub. It's a key hub in Maiduguri. And so to imagine that the work that has been done by our security agents, by Operation Hadinkai, is being eroded by this action is very sad. Because the people of Maiduguri had actually started, going back, living life at least to what it was before the terrorist attack. They praised the governor himself, Professor Zulum, for having done a lot of work. They praised the Nigerian military. So it's sad to see that the number of years of what has been able to achieve in that region is eroding eroded by these 3 coordinated attacks. Very sad. And so we are not yet out of the woods yet.
Right.
And we need to see, not just hear, the government's commitment to ending insecurity. They know the problems. They know where they are. What we now need is a political will to fix it and for them to actually do the job.
And a common thread in all of this is just the need for tangible outcomes. And of course, rest in peace to everyone who lost their lives in this incredibly tragic bomb blast. Now to the war in Iran and its impact on Nigeria and Nigerians. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs on Monday revealing that they're now working on the administrative process to figure out how to evacuate Nigerians stranded across the Middle East, as the war in Iran doesn't appear to have an end in sight. And as the government determines how to release money to bring those Nigerians home, we're also seeing members of the Islamic movement of Nigeria, also known as Shiites, staging massive protests across different cities here in Nigeria to express their support for Iran. Now, in new trending videos, crowds gathered to mark the last Friday of Ramadan from Abuja to Kanu, all denouncing the US and Israel, while expressing solidarity for Iran. Let's watch. And in a similar vein, another video has shocked a lot of users online that reportedly took place during these same protests, as it appears to show a group of supporters of this same movement drag a man in the middle of a crowd, put a Donald Trump mask on his face before proceeding to torture him. Let's watch. Now, we covered, these videos, these protests before on what's trending, but members of the Islamic movement of Nigeria, as I said, they've staged a number of protests, but as we see, they're gathering massive in-person crowds, and what really stands out is the range of ages of the men in these protests, and this idea that there's a transfer of ideology and beliefs from one generation to the next aisle. And you were saying, we don't really see these kinds of mass protests for a lot of other, Nigerian causes. So what's behind this popularity for Iran?
You can understand that because the Shiite Muslims in Nigeria ideologically are linked to Iran, the Ayatollah, as the leader of Shiite Muslims around the world. But I think it's also important for us. I remember when this case of protest started, not at this large scale. One of the things we had asked was that for security agents to ensure that they were able to manage this so it doesn't escalate. It's like a combustible environment that any small spark can cause a reaction, a very deadly reaction in some cases. Number one is that these people who are marching and protesting, they have bigger issues back home. Let me just be real. They have bigger. We just talked about 23 people dying and hundreds of people being injured in the Northeast. Are they as concerned about fixing what's going on back home? And I think it's also there's a thin line between expressing your right to freedom of expression and right to peaceful protest, and also because whether you like it or not, some people in Nigeria support the Trump administration. Imagine if they also came out to start their own protest. It would just be chaotic. So it's important that in expressing rights and freedom, there's also common sense and a measure of restraint. And I believe that the Nigerian state should handle this before it gets out of hand. Anyone can go and protest for or against what they believe in, but it must be done in such a way that it will not hit up the polity. Right. I think national security above in a number of these things that people are doing, because we've seen people come out to protest for things that are not as inflammatory as this, and they're held or arrested, charged to court. And we see people marching and burning effigies of a man that has a number of support. And don't forget, Nigeria also has a very good relationship with the United States of America. We cannot discount these things. Right. So it looks like fun and games, expression of rights, but we must be able to know when a joke is not a fun, but when things are taken too far, or just on the edge of something that could potentially essentially be more, more dangerous. I think security agents should step in now and bring some common sense. And let us be more passionate about things that are back home. And Nigeria first, let us have the culture of that, deal with our issues, and let the superpowers or the powers that be deal with the issues in the Middle East. What is more important for us is how that war is affecting us in Nigeria. We're talking about the cost of fuel, we're talking about oil prices, we're talking about the cost of living. Those are the things that we should come up to talk about and encourage our government to do something to protect the lives of the ordinary Nigerians. This thing, I don't know to what extent, but I believe that the security agents should take it as a matter of national security. It's very important. It can back up any way, anyhow. What if the Trump supporters come out to and say, okay, we want to burn the effigies? It doesn't make any sense.
And you provided the perfect segue to, talk about issues that affect us here at home, because here in Lagos, a man has sparked conversation and anger online after sharing his own experience at a local petrol station, claiming that he was overcharged. Now, in a video that started circulating this morning, the man requests for 20,000 naira worth, but notice that the meter was already at 5,501 naira before they started filling his tank. Now, unknown to the attendants, the entire incident was being recorded. Let's watch.
And when verses are recorded, this one did not start at zero. This one did not start at zero, like I said.
Immediately repeat it. Immediately repeat it. Let me show you.
I don't want to see this. I'm seeing what I need to see. I'm seeing what I need to see. I'm seeing what I need to see. Like, I don't want to hear anyone call for your attention. Anyone call for my attention. So check it. Yes, check it. No one see. As long as anyone even call my attention, I know what I'm saying. I don't. I'm saying they don't get you. I also so it's
People will not put your attention to this.
that's not for my head. That's not for my head. I don't know. I want to know. I understand she made a mistake. That's not my mistake. She really made a mistake. I understand. That's not my mistake. I don't know. Well, I'm not for like because when I look at that, I'm going to be to 9,000. No one at all. How can I be paid? And I'm looking back 124. That's not happened before. People are not just in for. People are not just one person. I'm paying. The person that's saying, I understand. Can I just get this whole piece? It's like this.
Now, this incident underscores a lot of ongoing concerns about transparency at some of these petrol stations, especially as prices really fluctuate across the country. So this has sparked, discussion online about ethics, oversight, the need for stricter enforcement to protect drivers. And personally, I think it's news you can use because now, Dr. Abati, I'll be checking the fuel meter before they fill up my car. I mean, what's going on?
Well, this is not new. It's just that people have become more desperate in the face of the crisis in the Middle East, which has affected all of us globally. You go to some stations, sometimes their pump is not working very well. So what it just calls for is ethics, that is vigilance. Vigilance on the part of the buyer. The caveat emptor is buyer beware. There's even no guarantee that they will still not cheat you. And part of the vigilance is knowing which station, sells honestly and which are the other ones where the attendants are cut corners. There used to be in this country, I don't know whether that department is still working, the Weights and Measurements Department, which was a section in the NNPC, as it then was. They used to go around to all these petrol stations to go and check and insist on standards. But again, everybody is so distracted now that they don't know, what they should do. But the bigger picture, particularly speaking to the people who are standing on flags of Israel and the United States, or the people who are protesting, and you are all wondering what is happening, why are we affected? The truth of the matter is that for as long as that Strait of Hormuz is partially closed or completely shut down, the whole world will be affected. Now, it also speaks to the nature of war, and that's why I think that one of the things that our security agencies that you mentioned should do is to begin to investigate these issues, not just read them from an ideological prism or emotional perspective. Suppose these persons are being sponsored from outside. Suppose they have connections with certain cells, certain groups in Iran or in the satellite allies, states, supporting Iran, and then they bring it back here into Nigeria because it looks like Iran is using a strategy of defiance that is different from conventional war, the kind of conventional war described by Sun Tzu in chapter 3 of that famous book, The Art of War. Chapter 3 of Sun Tzu's book is titled The Art of War, where you just meet each other and then you work out a strategy. Iran is using a different kind of strategy, which is closer to Thucydides' explanation in a book titled The Peloponnesian War between Athens and Sparta. And what is the big argument here? The big argument is that, look, usually a superior power fighting a smaller power will think, oh, we are better, we have military might, we will just crush you in a matter of days. The kind of thing that Trump will say. Trump just walked into society's trap. The war has not stopped now, and the war now has included the whole world. Look at the whole of the Middle East. Iran has used a strategy that has involved everybody. The war, if we're not careful, will even come to our doorstep here in Nigeria with certain persons in the country behaving in a provocative manner. So this is not the kind of war that Trump will just think we can go there and we just solve the matter. Now there are flashpoints all over the world, and he's now calling for help. One of the subjects we have discussed this morning is asking NATO to come. He's asking EU to come. He's asking other countries to come and help him. This is the nature of war. When it starts, you don't know when it will end. Even the person who started it will not know how it will end. For us in Nigeria here, apart from all these demonstrations by people who don't even understand the subject, I think that we still have to resolve the question of what will Nigeria do for its people. The Minister of Foreign Affairs says they are going to bring people back home. Already, I think NIDCOM already put out information that they are already taking women Nigerians through the Armenian border. Willing Nigerians, those who are ready to leave because of Nigerians, even if World War III starts, they will say we will die here together as Nigerians.
Even in war zone abroad, it's not coming back.
That's why it's according to some people.
I wanted to evacuate people from Ukraine at the time. Some people refuse to leave. They said they would rather be in Ukraine than come to Nigeria. If you go to Gaza, I'm sure you'll find some Nigerians there.
Okay, we have to move because we're running out of time, but it's not all bad news today because we'll take our good news report. We're in a full circle moment. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu reconnected with two young girls he met during a chance encounter 4 years ago. At the time, the girls were out of school. Today, they're speaking about how education changed their lives. Now, this story began in 2022 when, on his way to an official function, Governor Sanwo-Olu met Abubakar Salat and Amarachi Chinedu running errands when they were supposed to be in school. Now, from that moment, the governor ensured that they were enrolled in school by supporting their education. Well, at an event launch of the Lagos Education Access Fund last week, the girls spoke about their encounter with the governor and how their life's journey was forever changed from that moment years ago. Let's take a look at their story.
How old are you? 12. How old are you? 9. So where you are going to Frankfurt for your parents? Where do you stay? Anthony.
Mr. Governor, sir, we are deeply grateful for the chance you gave us, and we're ensuring that every child, no matter their background, deserve the opportunity to learn. We stand here today not only to tell you, but to represent children who try to be controlled by the school. Sir, your action has shown that when leaders invest in education, they invest in the future of society.
And an incredible moment, the governor also announced the launch of the state's $25 million education fund to ensure that 50,000 out-of-school kids will be enrolled in basic education. Ayo, very quickly, you said that you were there. It was an emotional moment for the governor.
I saw actual tears. So the backstory behind it is that the governor was surprised. He had not seen those girls after that video in many years, even though he had committed to funding education. So it was great to see them years after, because he was talking about how they were so small the day he saw them and how people had accused him of doing it as a publicity stunt. But he was moved by compassion when he saw two young girls who were supposed to be in school, as you can see on screen, and he stopped, and it actually triggered the Project Zero campaign in Lagos State, where they were working on getting out of school children out. Now, based on that project, Lagos State was able to attract partnership and funding up to $25 million. Now, as part of that launch ceremony, they had arranged to bring the girls on stage to talk, and they thanked him, appreciated him for giving them an opportunity. People were in tears. The governor himself was so moved, he was so emotive. He came on stage, hugged them, assured them that he would now make a deliberate effort to be a part of their lives and really sponsor them. It was a beautiful, sweet spot story. Yes. And sometimes you just see leadership or humanity in leadership, and I'm glad that we're able to show this today. Absolutely. So congratulations to Lagos State, and also $25 million going to the state towards education.
Absolutely. Education is key, and that is incredible. Lagos State, kudos to you. Now, under milestones, with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the country celebrating Enugu State Governor Peter Mba on his 54th birthday, which is today, March 17. Now, in a statement, the president congratulated him for his state's progress and his own personal commitment to constitutional democracy. Now, born in 1972 and originally from Owo in Kanu East local government area of the state, Mba is a maritime lawyer and a former private sector executive who founded Pinnacle Oil and Gas before venturing into politics. Now, since being elected to office in 2023, Mba has made his mark by pursuing an ambitious plan to grow Enugu's economy from $4.4 billion to $30 billion through private sector investment, infrastructure, and innovation-driven reforms. Now, the president also highlighted the governor's collaborative nature and his willingness to engage with other leaders in the Southeast for regional development.
That was why when the British came, they saw the light in Biafra. Eventually, they saw it. Listen, I want to listen to this man. Listen.
The very first democracy that involved self-governance.
Self-governance. Autonomous community.
Wealthy. That everybody was involved. And the very first democracy that permitted women to be free.
The first thing, when America was saying give women the vote, listen, our mothers, so we are rulers. They could be families. When women are talking in our culture, men don't come out. You don't dare come out. Can you say it? Can you hear me? When I hear all these things in Abuja and Lagos, all these great France talking, I feel sorry for them. That is why we are harsh against the idiot that calls himself an elder who doesn't know this. What we are fighting for is to protect something that anybody will be envious of. This is who we are. And we said I was behind somebody will go to the farm, go to the piano, you got an idol, bow down for an idol. And God took away all the blessings he gave us. He said, that was pride in the class. That's my way, and that's. God gave us 700 years to come out of it. We continue to add and 7 years. The Arabs came, he said, no, I don't want to do it. He sent the British instead. Go and conquer them. And as you're conquering them, you're going with the Bible, the Old Testament and the New Testament. If they are smart, God said, if they are smart, they will go to Old Testament and see who they are. And that's what we did. This is what do you know about? People like the West, Europe, we were still in the dark ages. Europe was nothing. You see all these white men building out of bed and going to the moon, they were nothing. When Biafra land was bubbling, when the kingdom of Biafra was at its peak, with God Almighty in heaven as the ultimate king, Europe was nowhere. They were still beaches. They were nothing. And yet the ego had figured out a way to have a just and meaningful government, and a just and meaningful society, and due process, and fairness. And to this day, listen, due process and fairness. These things are weaved into our Egypt we have, our programs. This is a white man. Fairness. Which is the foundation of our constitution. Fairness. I want the world to hear this. Biafra means fairness. You can never hit anybody and never. The Biafra. Some idiots come up and they say that they know nothing. They are promoting one Nigeria, bringing the curse of God upon them. And on their children, they know nothing. God said, you cannot go into Nigeria to Nigeria. I ask the British to come to you, that you may return to me, that I may re-establish my kingdom. Before I raised such and I found that I used to tell that Biafra is the kingdom of heaven on this earth. I told you that before. Before I raised such and I discovered it. And I told it to you. I said, it's on my page, don't be scroll down and see it. Kingdom of Biafra is there, which means that the name will not come from the hands. Apart from the first organization of government. With fairness. With fairness. Fairness. That's the